Now on Chatterbox UK, we welcome Ray Dorset, aka Mungo Jerry. Ray, hello, how are you?
Hello, Ray.
I'm not bad. I should say good, but I should always say good, shouldn't I? Yeah, I'm good. I'm happy that I'm chatting to you guys. So it's good.
Likewise. It was great chatting to you before, I tell you. Okay, we're in the 1970s, Ray, or rather I'd like to be. We talked about your first two hits getting to number one, but you had quite a string of hits in the 70s. I mean, it was almost like you were perhaps a hit machine for about 10 back-to-back records, I think, at the height. What was it? Were there certain inspirations for writing the stuff, or was it just you wanted to write a good song that rhymed nicely? I mean, how did it go from the third single onwards?
Well, after Baby Jump, that was totally different to In the Summertime.
Yeah.
The next one that came out on the next maxi single, the third maxi single, was Lady Rose. And I got that idea. I came back from America and I'd taken this 12-string guitar with me because I was reading the Woody Guthrie book, Born to Win. Wow. And I thought it'd be really cool, to travel around on the railroad like Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly and all that sort of thing. And I was a bit mad, really. So I bought this. I got back from Heathrow Airport, and I sat in this chair in my maisonette. It was only where I was living at the time, and I started playing the guitar, and I came up with this tune, da 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 da. And the next day, I just got it sort of buzzing in my head. And I had this little a kind of basic tape recorder that the office had. They gave me some money, so I went out and bought myself a tape recorder, and I recorded it myself, like played it with the 12-string guitar and stuff, and it was such a basic tune, but it was one of these tunes that gets in your head really, straight away. And for some reason, when I'm tired, I seem to come up with lyrical ideas. I think my brain starts sort of dreaming, subconsciously. And I've got this, not necessarily something real, but something maybe I've seen it on a TV program or a movie or a magazine, newspaper article, on the dark nights by the firelight, I see her face before my eyes. And everything came out in one go. So it was another one of those songs where you got like, that everything flowed. Like, sure. I didn't have to sit down and say, what shall I write about? I had the tune and the words all at the same time. It stayed in my head, so I made this demo of it. And it came round to time to make the second album.
Okay.
And I thought, I played it to the producer, and we'll record it. And consequently, it was only me, the bass player, the late John Godfrey, and the Colin Earl, the piano player, that played on the track. I bought a pair of bongos in Macari's music store on Shaftesbury Avenue in London. I think I paid £11, right? Everything was cheap. 10, 11. I think I paid £11 for my bass guitar, £11 for the bongos. The bongos were new. Anyway, I played the bongos on it, and I don't even know if I put a stomp on it. It's very basic, like folky thing, but it caught on straight away. So it came out on the maxi single. And the song that they wanted to have as the follow up to Baby Jump was, the song they wanted to have, Baby, for In the Summertime, rather, it was Have a Whiff on Me, this song, Have a Whiff on Me.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because it was going down so well on stage. And we recorded it in America with Mike Cole on double bass, and then we recorded it again in UK with John Godfrey playing the electric bass. So that went on the maxi single as well. And I think Paul King had one of his songs on the maxi single. I think there were 4 songs on there. I can't remember what the other one was actually offhand. Anyway, Have a Whiff on Me had been recorded at the BBC for probably Dave Lee Travis show and maybe Jimmy Savile, and it was popular. It was a really popular thing. So, but we still put it on the maxi single. but I think it was John Peel's producer complained when the record that they said it was a pro-drug song.
Oh, okay.
It's about,
okay.
I see. The thing is I've got this some of the lyrics. I changed it around a bit, but the original, like the Leadbelly lyrics, cocaine's for horses, not for men. Some say it kills you, but they don't say when. So it's not an advocation of cocaine. It's a kind of an anti-drug song. But then I say, I make fun. I say, I got a woman 10 feet tall. She sleeps in the kitchen. No, stop. So, I think Ron Donegan said she sleeps in the kitchen and she sleeps in the hall. And I said she smokes in the kitchen and she smokes in the hall. And I went, grass that is, like the Beverly Hillbillies. I was just kind of messing up. Anyway, what happened was the director of public prosecutions picked up on this complaint and paid a visit to the record company. And consequently, the whole maxi single, not just the track was banned from the radio, even though it had been recorded originally for the BBC. They said all the records had to be taken out of the music stores that were left, and they had to be destroyed.
Good God.
So, so the records, the maxi single had to be repressed, and they put a track off the album. The album was called Electronically Tested. I got the title from that album from the London Rubber Company. The London
I know what they made, yeah.
The London Rubber Company made Durex. So it always said Electronically Tested. I thought that was a good bit of a joking thing on it. So
free one with every record sold, yeah.
Yeah. They put this track on there called She Rode, which is on the album. And there's a great tutorial of that track on YouTube. Some guy in America is teaching people how to play that song. It's good. It's a good tune. But anyway, so Lady Rose would have been the third number one, the third consecutive number one. But because when it got to about number 5 or something, all the records were taken out of the shops. It had to be repressed, so there was a delay. And by the time it came back again, middle of the road with their chirpy cheek had hogged all the sales, so they went to number 1. I think Lady Rose got to like number 3. But at the end of the day, this is my late father's favourite record of mine. But it went on to sell a lot more. I think it sold a lot more copies around the world than Baby Jump did.
Number 1 in Japan, anyway.
More easier on the ear. Sorry?
Number 1 in Japan, anyway. Right, Lady Rose.
So they say, That's what they say, yeah. I'm still, funny enough, I've got a 7-inch Primo copy here. Just across, I'm sitting in the room I'm in, and it had the label just had a rose in the middle of it, a promo copy.
Okay.
And the label's fallen off, and I'm looking around for some paper glue so I can stick it back on. So I was going to play it. Yeah, you're right. But it goes on and on. A few years later, I did a similar thing actually, because I was in a place called Glyfada near Athens in Greece, and I walked into this music store, and I decided to buy myself a bouzouki. Okay. And I found this bouzouki and tuned it up like guitar tuning. It was like a 12-string guitar tuning, but it's just got 8 strings on it. And I started playing a similar tune to Lady Rose, and it worked out. And it had a great sound. This was a very cheap bouzouki. It's fallen apart, but it had this very bright sound. In the end, it fell apart, and I had to get it rebuilt. It hasn't got the same sound. But I came up with this tune called Hello Nadine. In fact, it was called, when I wrote the song, it was a very similar idea to Lady Rose, like having something picking. Instead of a 12-string guitar, I used the bouzouki, playing all the way along, playing a melody, and giving it a bit of rhythm. And I think I signed an autograph for this girl up in Manchester or whatever, and she had this unusual name. She was from Irish name called Aideen, and I thought, that's a good name to have for a song, So when I wrote it, but Barry Murray, the producer again, he said, nobody knows that name, they never heard of it. He said, you should use the name Nadine, and I said, Nadine, we've already got Nadine. Is that you, from Chuck Berry? And he said, it don't matter. So I went out and I thought, hello, Nadine. And what happened was it became a massive hit in Europe. The people that I was working with at the record company, because I changed record labels, they weren't really behind me at that time, because the punk thing was coming in. And they'd signed like the Jam and the Jolt. And I remember meeting Malcolm McLaren up at the record company, because they were going to sign the Sex Pistols, and they decided not to in the end. And but that kind of punk thing hadn't moved over to the rest of Europe and the other parts of the world where I was going into. So they got into this tune, and it was a massive hit, really big hit. I think I did 28 TV shows in France just on that song in that 1 year.
Amazing. And I see you had a hit in Canada with it as well.
Yeah, I suppose that's French Canada.
Oh, of course. I hadn't even thought of that till then.
It went all over the place. It went really mad actually on that one.
Now,
and that was another one where only three of us actually played on the records. Okay. In fact, might have only been two of us on that actually. Colin Earl was still with me. He come back into the band. He because as I told you before, Colin and Paul they kind of took over, but. They did actually come back for a 5-year anniversary, but Paul didn't stay, and Colin stayed on a bit longer. But and then what happened was I had a song that I'd written when I was about 18 called "It's a Secret," and I met this guy called Roberto De Nova at the San Remo Song Festival, and we got really friendly. And over the years, he became quite successful. I think he was the guy that discovered Kelly Marie. He'd written stuff for this band called Geordie, who had Brian Johnson as the lead singer.
Yes.
And Brian became the lead singer for AC/DC. And he also wrote a song for Show What He Wanted. It was a hit song. I can't remember what it's called. But, and so I worked with him in production, and he got there's these great kind of really competent, really classy musicians, and Alan Tarney and Trevor Spencer, and some guys that work with Cliff Richard, other guys that work with Cliff Richard. And we went into this R.G. Jones studio in Wimbledon. I'd already had a gut recording this. It's a Secret in another way, and we put this together, and it sounded really. It's like a classy recording. It wasn't really so much like how I normally, but it worked. It was really good, and that was a massive hit. It became a massive hit in Southern Africa, for example.
Oh yes,
all over Europe, and another venture.
You were still having number ones in South Africa as recently as 1981, I see. So
Yeah.
It looks like it never stopped there, really.
I think my version of Knocking on Heaven's Door went right high up in the charts.
It did. You had in South Africa. And this is very impressive. You had 2 consecutive number ones. So number ones with 2 consecutive releases. There you go. Knocking on Heaven's Door, and they're both in 81 apparently. There you go. Impressive.
Yeah. I actually spent a bit of time over there. There was in fact, I don't think that we were supposed to go there because I think there was an apartheid thing going on. So there's an MU ban, but I'd done a cover version. There was a song called. Sunshine Reggae. Now, I can't remember the name of the band. I think they were a Danish band that did it. And I was asked to do this cover version of it for this management agency company I was doing some jobs for, working with in the UK. And they sent this over to South Africa. They had a contact over there. And I'd done it under the name Horizon.
Okay.
And they decided to book me. So it was Mungo Jerry Horizon. And we went over there and started promoting that thing, this Sunshine Reggae. And the last shows that we did were in the Cape Town area. And by this time, it was decided it was billed as Mungo Jerry, so the places were completely packed out and sold out. Because when we were doing it as Horizon and doing this, the theatres people didn't know who Horizon was, so they weren't, but everything was full or anything. But in Cape Town, we got so mad, they asked us to do an extra week.
Brilliant.
So I said, we'll do it. And tried to get flights back, and we couldn't get any flights back.
Oh,
and so we thought, we've got to find a way to get back to Johannesburg to catch the original flights that we already had. And it took about 3 days to get there. I think we were driving. And a guy called Rob walked into the hotel, and he said, "Oh, you're Mungo Jerry, aren't you?" "Oh, yeah." He says, "Did you fancy coming on a cruise?" He said,
okay.
He said, "We've got a bit of a problem." He says, we're on this first class cruise thing. We've come from Durban, and we're cruising to Southampton, and we're stopping off in the Canary Islands on the way. And we've got a problem with the entertainment because they had a guy called. Have you heard of Tony Monopoly?
Yes, I have actually. Yes.
Yeah, he was set to join. I think he was coming in from the Canaries, and they didn't have any like a Star Entertainment. They've been let down. He said, if you come, he says you can all travel first class, and just do 3 shows. And I said, well, we've got our wives and girlfriends and stuff with us and our kids and stuff. That's all right. So we got on this and we had such a time. It was amazing. We had an amazing time. It's about 2 weeks to get back.
Wow, brilliant! I like that. Now, I see. Let's look at the sort of UK here. For a while, it seems as though the hits sort of dropped out. It's dried up a bit from '74 onwards. Although you had these successes, like I say, in South Africa, Germany, still, and all over the place. South Africa, Denmark, and so on. Now, with touring. Now, I'd imagine I'm right in thinking that there was years where you didn't even get home or barely got home. Did that change from 75 onwards, or was the touring still absolutely full on because of the other countries?
Actually, it got madder.
Wow, brilliant.
The touring and all the gigs, I really don't know what happened, but I was here, there, and even more so. I wasn't doing so much before. In the early 70s and up to the mid 70s, it was like 3 countries in 3 days. Okay. When I went to Israel, we do 4 shows in one night.
Right.
Like 4 20-minute shows, and travelling around an ambulance with a blue light flashing on top to try and get to this.
Get you through.
And it was mad. It was a madness. Getting mobs. But then when the touring kind of started, so like you do 3 weeks in France and 2 weeks in Norway and 2 weeks in Denmark and then 3 weeks in Germany, and I saw a lot more of the countries. Okay. I know we were on the motorway a lot and travelling around the place, but we did see a lot, because sometimes you didn't really know what country. You just go from hotel to hotel. So you could be in France, you could be in Denmark, you could be in America, you could be anywhere, but you'd just be in a hotel, so you wouldn't see a lot.
Sure.
So when it got to the travelling on the road, it was a good opportunity to experience what was going on in the country and see what was going on. So I kind of saw the best and I saw the worst, because if you went to a really outback, a place in the middle of nowhere, where obviously the people didn't have so many bands, but the place would always be completely sold out. But they wouldn't have such great hotels in those places, so you'll sort of slum it a bit. But when I was a bit younger, that was okay, because I was in my mid-20s then. Wasn't so bad. But when I got older, I thought I want a bit more comfort. But we do go on. But I started doing loads of college and university shows in the UK, and that was great. That was because I really like the college and universities. The shows, and when they had the summer balls and the Christmas balls, and there'd be a lot of other bands on, and you get the chance to see some bands that you probably would not never get the chance to see from different genres, and I found that quite good, and so I was doing all these TVs and radio shows and concerts right into the 80s, and then. What happened was they started having these like 60s revival shows. And I wasn't from the 60s, actually I was in the 70s, so I started finding myself on some 60s shows, and I found that a bit disconcerting to an extent. But then I saw some good bands, like I wouldn't have seen, like the Searchers and the Trogs and all these. So this was another thing. I got really friendly with the guys from the Tremolos, and in the end, Alan Blakely, who was one of the founder members of Tremolos, he became like my producer, co-producer. And God bless him, he passed away several years ago. But we did get along, and I learned a lot of stuff from all these people and the other guys, how they recorded and how they worked. I mean, Alan told me that their producer said that when they're singing, they should smile while they're singing, and it'll come out in the music on the record. And he was right. He was right. So it's like if you're playing a bluesy song, because I like all this deep down, dirty, like Howling Wolf type blue, Johnny Hooker, and this. So you try and put yourself in that kind of mood when you're doing the recording to try and get the listener to feel, like the lyric, like when you're saying something like. I'd say, one night, I'd say one night I was walking all around and I was cold and hungry, didn't have nowhere to rest my weary head, and I went down to the railway track and put my things together, and I laid down and I went to sleep, and it was cold outside and the wind was blowing and the rain came down, and and I woke up and I got my things together and I took a walk through the forest, and I saw a little house and I knocked on the door and a little girl came. And she said, "What do you want?" I said, "It's cold outside, the wind's blowing, the rain's coming down." She said, "Come inside," and she made me a cup of coffee. And I got something to smoke. And then, just like the prodigal son, she said, "Daddy, where have you been so long?" You know, you get into this, you know what I mean? You create that kind of atmosphere, which is a bit different to saying, "Oh yeah, in the summertime when the weather is high," because it's a completely different vibe. But so in a way, it's like participating in a sort of like a musical play, if you understand what. That's where I come from. There, that's my vibe. That's my take on this kind of stuff.
Right, sure. And we look into the 80s here, and I see you've had further chart success, even in the UK. Thing called Prospects, apparently known as Made in England or something.
That was a great thing for me. I was really pleased about that Prospects thing, because I'd gone up to the office in London, and I was talking to this friend, Elias. In fact, I was talking to him today, and he said, "You know what?" He says, "We've got this job to do. We've got this TV series. It's made by the Thames Television. They made The Minder, and it's their follow-up to The Minder, and they call it Prospects, and They've made the theme tune, but the producer, the writers, they didn't like it. They wanted to do something. They want something that goes like this, and he started waving his arm about. And I thought, I think I know what he means. And he explained a bit about the series. And I was driving home, and I just got past Heathrow Airport, and I got an idea for this tune and the words. So I pulled off the A30 or A4 I was on. I went down into Feltham and I stopped the car on the back street and the back road. It was a street, it was a nice place. And I just wrote it down on a piece of paper, this idea. And I was going off in 2 or 3 days' time. I was going off to Germany for 2 or 3 weeks to do a tour. So I made a demo of this song and I stuck it on a cassette that happened to have a couple of other tunes already on it, and I sent it to the office, and he said that Roger Daltrey was set to sing the theme song. Okay. And when I got back, I got this call and they said, "Oh, we want you to go out there. They're filming on the Isle of Dogs this particular day. They want you to go out there and meet the writer, Alan James, and Greg Smith. They're the guys that are behind the Buddy musical, by the way."
Got you. Okay.
And they said, "Oh, we want you to change a couple of words, and we want you to sing it." So that was great. So and on top of that, one of the other writers, because they didn't have the same writer on every episode. One of the other writers had he heard a song that was on the cassette, and they used that in the series as well. They used 2 of my songs that I'd done as demos, as they were. Plus, I did the song. I was really pleased about that.
Yeah, good. And I see.
Then the same year, around about the same time, Barry Murray had written. He came up with an idea for a children's TV series for Paul Daniels called Whizbit.
Oh yes, I remember the name.
And he'd heard some of my stuff. And I did this. I'd done a kind of a reworking of a song that I heard Leadbelly sing called "Ha Ha This Away," "Ha Ha This Away," "Ha Ha That Away," "Ha Ha This Away," "Man Over." And what he did, he wrote like a talking part for Paul Daniels to do, and I recorded all that and sung the "Ha Ha This Away" part, and Paul Daniels did the speaking over the top of it, and I ended up doing several songs for that TV series, but my name is not on any of the credits. Because I don't think whoever did the music didn't get any credits. But I found myself in the studio. Do you remember A Whiter Shade of Pale? Well, the guy that played the keyboard on that, Matthew Fisher, he had a studio in Croydon, and we went there to record some of the tracks for this Prospects, the Whizbit Paul Daniels TV series. And it was good because I met him, and because I loved that. I loved that organ introduction, because that was a tremendous record, wasn't it? A Whiter Shade of Pale.
Absolutely.
I mean, the first time I heard that, I'd come back from a gig. I was it 67?
67 when it first hit the charts. It was, yeah.
Yeah, and I came back from a gig. Must have been in '67, and it was like this hippie thing, because I was doing all playing music for fun. And I think I did this gig at a place called the House of Happiness in Leicester.
Okay.
And I picked my car up because I left it at the drummer's house. And I turned the radio on. It was a bit of pirate radio stations in there. And this record came on, and I was so mesmerised by it. I had to stop the car and wait and sit down and listen to I couldn't drive. I just had to listen to that. That was such a lovely intro. I don't know what the word. I haven't got a clue what the song was about.
Okay.
I still don't know what it was about. But it had such a good vibe to it.
You've been pondering for 35 years now, but never mind. Soon after that as well, of course, you had a very big chart success in the indie charts with In the Summertime '87, when you hit the number one on the indie chart as Mungo Jerry and Brothers Grimm, I understand.
Yeah. These twins, John and Nick Wren, they came into my studio, and they were recording some stuff. I forget the name of the band, or whatever name they used to record it. And I got really friendly with they're funny guys, and I'm still friendly with Nick, the keyboard player. And they'd met up with someone, a guy named Pete McCarthy. And Pete McCarthy managed an American girl singer. They had a band called Westway. Was it Westway?
Not sure.
They were doing really well. They were doing well to the extent that they got loads of stuff on Radio 1. And they must have made quite a lot of money, because he took over the original offices of Island Records was in Oxford Street. And when I played the guitar for Jack Edwards, and also there's just a one-off thing with Millie, we actually rehearsed in their offices on Oxford Street. And Pete McCarthy took over these offices, and we went there and had a meet-up, and he got this idea. He wanted them to record In the Summertime with me. Tried to get me to grow my sideburns back. So they did a deal with a record company called IRS. That was the original label that REM were on. Okay. And the label, the company was owned by a guy called Miles Copeland. And he was the older brother of the guy. What was his name? Copeland, the guy that played the drums for the Police.
I've got my name stuck on Aaron Copeland. Sorry, it's not him at all. So sorry.
Yeah, no. What's his name? Anyway, whatever his name was. Never mind, my brain's done in. So that was a coincidence. But before that, obviously, we've gone to was that 88, 87, 88?
87, yeah.
Yeah, that went right high up in the indie charts, and it was in the charts in all over places, like out of the country, Italy and Germany. But we've missed out this thing, because we already spoke about that in 1980. Went to number one. Yes. With Feels Like I'm in Love, for Kelly Marie.
Absolutely.
Which I already spoke about. But then in 1990, Shaggy went to number one within the summertime. Yes. And I was driving along and I had the radio on, and they said, "Oh, it's number one." Somebody's like Shaggy doing in the summertime, and it went to number one. I think it went to number one in America, so I got an award for that.
Brilliant. Now, before we get into 2000 and the millennium and the new stuff you're bringing out.
Oh, sorry. The other thing is, I already got in the trust. Now, I don't know what year it was. I was asked to do a song for Wigan Athletic Football Team.
I think that's what I'm looking at.
I was also asked to do a song for Newcastle United.
It's Newcastle where I was going. I didn't know about Wigan, so I'll leave that for you to tell us that. But support the tune.
I went to the studios that ended up being the guys from 10cc had a studio in Manchester, Strawberry Studios.
Oh, yeah, Manchester
That was
Stockport,
Strawberry
something
North,
like that.
and
Yeah,
another one in the south,
yeah.
Strawberry South. So we went to Strawberry North. I had the whole team in there and the manager, and we made a great thing called "Come On You Lactics" because that was their nickname.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't know how it went in the charts. But the one I did for Newcastle United. That actually went into the charts. Not high up, but it was like, I don't know, 50 or something.
Yeah,
might have been even higher than that. But
support the tune.
I didn't have any of the team or anybody. I just wanted
I got you.
that.
So the EP included Tune Army, Support the Tune, It's Your Duty, number 57 in 1999. Now that's higher than I got anywhere.
Where did you get this information from? It's amazing. I can't. You must be doing some good research there, Nick, to get all that information. I think you know more about my stuff than what I do, actually.
Well, then I'll do your biography for you. Brilliant. Anyway, Ray, we get ourselves into the millennium now, and you still have successes. I see you've got a great one here, Staying at Home, 2006. Number 6 in Germany. Wow.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I shouldn't forget about that one. But
pretty major.
I got that idea and recorded everything myself. But then I was living more in Germany than England at that particular time, and I used to go to an office, a place in Hereford, a company called Easy Play, and Michael Pohl, who was one of the owners of the company, he's a blues fan, he liked guitars and stuff. So we started jamming on a Thursday night for fun, and someone heard the noise coming out through the wall. Said, "Can you come and do some gig? Can you do a gig at some university festival that was on?" So this started off me actually playing with these German musicians. It wasn't my band. They called it the Mungo Jerry Blues Band. And so in the end, because this song, they picked up on this song, and it was decided to record the song with these guys.
Okay.
And it got a lot of radio play, and it became very popular. Yeah. On the German radio, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's fantastic. So that's keeping yourself very busy into the noughties. But I believe you continue touring, and also we see some new bands from yourself. So I mean, before we even get to what you're working on now, look, this is a list here: Candy Dreams 2001, Move On, Latest and Greatest, probably greatest compilation 2002, Adults Only 2003. Naked from the Heart 2007, When She Comes She Runs All Over Me 2007, and Call Jesus 2012. That is as prolific as you've ever been. Serious.
Yeah, I suppose
Mega.
So. Yeah, I never really thought about that. And then I've got the other albums, which we got Extreme, and we got Touch the Sky, and the one I'm doing now is called Some Light. And then there's been some other compilations and things put together. But what I should have mentioned, actually, I don't know if I did mention this earlier, but when it must have been about 76, 77, 78, I went over to what was then Rhodesia.
Oh, yes,
At that particular time, I had the band I had, and there was a guy in my band called Larry Anderson, we called him. He played bass, and he was a really good singer and writer. And he was like pitch perfect. And we got chatting, and he got me interested in some different books and things that I hadn't read and picked up on, like Ken Kesey and stuff. And the punk thing had gone a bit, got quite interesting. And I encouraged him, and I suppose he didn't need much encouragement. He put a band together to play some of his songs. And the bass player was a guy named Byron Kontostavlos.
Okay.
Right. And I became really, really friendly with Byron. And Larry left the band to pursue his own career. And he's done pretty well. Had a band called Hi-Fi. And I got them the agency and the management and all that kind of stuff. Gave me some ideas what to do, like the colour of their clothes and stuff. And did a bit of production with them. We did reasonably well. And I stayed friendly with Byron. He ended up becoming the bass player in my band. And Byron's brother, Plato Kontostavlos, plays the keyboards. And he came into my band later on. Then their children, like Byron's son is, his name's Dino, but he's now known as Dappy. And he's got another son called Spiros. And Plato's daughter was Tula. She became Tulissa. So I don't know if you know where I'm going from here, but they actually became N-dubs with a friend of theirs. And so I put them together with a lawyer to get them a record deal and get it all sorted out. And then, unfortunately, they came back from a gig on Thursday. Byron sat down and he passed away, and the deal came through on the Monday. And Tula became Tulissa. She went on to be a judge on the X Factor and all that sort of N-dubs. Had hits all over the place and did really well. So you probably heard about them, haven't you, N-dubs?
Yes, indeed, yes.
Yeah, so we're still friendly. So Plato's like a brother, because I've got no brothers or sisters, so he's like a brother to me. We get on, so great, and we like going out and looking at the sky. And one of the best, my favourite. See, I've done several different versions of In the Summertime over the years, which I've been asked to do. But the one that I care about the most, because all the other ones are like remixes using like the vocal that I did for the re-recorded, was like the original. But I did a version in their studio, and we call it the Touch the Sky version. Because Plato's wife, and she's doing the backing vocals, and she's singing touch the sky, and it's great. It's a really like slowish, easy listening reggae version, and it's great. It's there's a good video of it on YouTube, and it always stayed popular. It's quite close to my heart, especially the thing that. It reminds me of like when I was working with Byron and Plato, and we used to do all the rehearsing up at Jumbo Studios. And I was in there one day in the studio, and the band Slade came in.
Oh yes,
and they started playing Lady Rose. You could hear it through the wall. And the Water Boys used to play Long Leg Woman Dressed in Black. And the Smashing Pumpkins used to do I think it was in the summertime. They used to play for their encore.
Cool, brilliant.
It's amazing.
Now, we're going to get ourselves... now, obviously, I think we briefly mentioned at the start of the interview, you've not been in the greatest of health. You've had open heart surgery, I believe. But I trust that Ray Dorset, a.k.a. Mungo Jerry, is now... Are you just recuperating, or are you fully fit again? Are you able to go out?
No, I've still got a long way to go. Sure. Because they cut your breastbone.
Okay.
Of the sternum, is it called? So
yes,
I'm wearing a strange jacket thing that was invented in Austria, and you got to wear it for about 3 months to hold yourself together. So because all those bones are held together with bits of wire, and in the olden days they didn't have this jacket, so you had to have a towel or something to roll up to make sure you didn't let yourself go. And I was talking to a friend of mine. Todd Slaughter, and he had a heart transplant about 15 years ago, and they didn't have those jackets then, so it was, but he was up and about.
He's still with us, is he?
Quicker driving than me, because I had a bypass as well. But I don't know why. I mean, some say it's something to do with your teeth affecting the valves of your heart, or it could be, lifestyle. I'm 75. I've done lots of strange things. So,
but
bad lifestyle, all that, what you do in those. But you don't when you're younger, and you got all this energy, you don't realise that you're. I probably drank a bit, but I didn't consider that I was drinking like a mad person. Like when I spoke to the late Brian Connolly, from the Sweet,
absolutely.
He said to me, I thought the only reason people didn't drink as much as I drank was because they didn't have the money to buy it.
Oh, bless him.
Because he said, because he made himself quite ill.
I know he did.
Having so much alcohol.
Great humour.
And that is, anything, if you overdo it on anything, you're going to do yourself a bit of harm. My mother used to say, do everything in moderation. And she was right.
Yeah.
And then they say that you are what you eat, so I suppose you are what you put into your body. So if you're going to smoke and drink and take drugs and all this kind of stuff, it's not going to do you any good. I expect a couple of spliffs is not going to be harmful, but if you start sticking all that stuff up your nose like some of these people did, like they did, so it's a wonder that some of these artists, that managed to keep going for so long. When you read about what they did,
I know,
like Eagles and Stones and all this kind of stuff, but they managed to keep going, didn't they?
Dare I say it? Every time I look at not that I can say this actually, Charlie Watts. I am surprised he was alive 20 years ago, let alone today. You know, of the Rolling Stones. How is he alive? He doesn't look
amazing.
He doesn't look like he is, but he is. You know,
he's certainly got a good groove. I will say that.
Oh yeah,
If it wasn't for the Rolling Stones, I mean, they're not much older than me, really. But when we all used to play in the same area, in the same places, the Alpine and Station Hotel Richmond, all these places. I used to play at Station Hotel Richmond alternate Fridays and Saturdays, and he used to say Rhythm and Blues every Thursday with the Rolling Stones. A bit of cardboard stuck on the door, but you know they managed to get all that great material from Bo Diddley and Chuck Berry and and stuff that I'd never heard of. So there was a question there. If you got a good repertoire, didn't matter. You didn't have to write the songs yourself. You just find a good repertoire. Most people didn't hear those songs anyway. Like, can't judge a book by looking at the cover. What a great song. For playing live.
Sure, we'll talk about these new songs in a sec. But I've got, and I'll take this out. But I've got a fact. We're talking about Charlie Watts. Do you know? Well, listen to this. Lenny Peters of Peters and Lee is Charlie Watts's uncle, real uncle.
Nah.
Yeah, absolutely. You Wikipedia it, and I promise you they're related. How chalk and cheese or what? You can make it up. But honestly, Lenny Peters is Charlie Watts's uncle, or was. Yeah, absolutely true.
That's unbelievable.
I know, isn't it? You'll never forget that now.
Well, actually, I was reading something the other day. I think it was was it Stan Laurel? Is it Stan Laurel?
Yeah.
Is something to do with Clint Eastwood.
I didn't know that. I know that Stan Laurel was British.
I was reading. I've read some. You do hear some strange things, don't you? But.
Well, Stan Laurel was a long time in America, so quite possibly. Now, I like the fact that you said you were an only child, because I also am, and I think the most creative, decent people in music are only children. Yeah, but let's have a look at now. Your Darren kindly sent us some wonderful songs here. So I assume, Ray, when you've been able to, you've obviously been recording stuff during lockdown. We're talking about things like "Colour of Love." Tell us about some of these new songs.
Yeah, that's a song that's out at the moment. It's just come out on the 28th of May on all the streaming platforms. And that was done because I was asked to come up with in the summertime type of song for a Japanese mayonnaise advertisement.
Wow.
They didn't want the product mentioned, and they didn't want mayonnaise mentioned. They wanted to reflect the colour of the earth, which meant they wanted to be very organic. And the instrumentation, they weren't worried about that, but they said it must have a banjo on it, and it had to have this in the summertime kind of thing. So I played everything myself on that, just put a piano on it and a jug and whatever, and it turned out great. And I came up with the idea of "Colour of Love," and so it's a actually. I don't think anyone could say there's anything controversial about the lyric, but it's a feel good thing for all the family, and it's very, very hooky, and it's proved to be really popular. So it's gone into the nation radio chart. It's number 7 at the moment.
Brilliant, well done.
So I hope everyone starts playing it, because what I'm trying to do is I'm finishing this album. I've got about probably got another 5 tracks to mix. Sure. All the tracks are recorded now. Just got to finish them off, and you have to hope that when you get plenty of profile, but with the streaming or whatever, it will encourage people to buy physical product, because musicians and writers and producers, if they haven't really got much chance of making any decent amount of money unless they sell physical product, because with streaming, you just get next to nothing unless you work direct, like I do with all my later stuff, since 1976 I own everything, so I put it directly with a thing called an aggregator. So I get the money that goes direct, with the company that puts it on all the different platforms. There's about 600 platforms around the world, but you only think of major ones like Spotify. Then now there's Apple Music, Amazon. I think YouTube are doing that, YouTube Premium. But if you consider that the biggest record sales last year for an artist was only, now I don't know if this is like in downloads or physical sales or it was only 66,000. And if you consider that, say, one Monday morning in the summertime sold 75,000 copies. People were selling 20, 30,000 a day. And so that was a lot of money. That was a lot of turnover.
Well, it is that
in cash flow.
What you mentioned.
Streaming, for streaming, it's next to nothing. So what you got to do, you got to really hope that like people in the business can get companies to think, right, get back to buying stuff physically. I know there's been an increase in vinyl, but that's not going to save the music industry because there's not enough of it. There's no capacity, so it's got to be physical CD and if you put it on a memory stick or flash cards, they can play it in the car. Or streaming for the car. I mean, you just got to think of ways to do it. It's wrong, really. But that's what's happening with intellectual property.
Well, going by what you just said, 66,000 hard sales, CDs, albums, whatever, in vinyl, etc., etc. Well, that is incredible. And you said, Mungo Jerry selling 75,000 copies on a Monday morning. Well, we had Dave Bartram from Showaddy Waddy, lead singer of Showaddy Waddy, on a month or two back. And he had a song, this is how it changes, so totally backing what you're saying. He had a song called Footsteps in 1981. It peaked at number 39. That's all it did. And it sold just under 300,000 copies. And that only just made the top 40. Hasn't times changed? It's unreal.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's unbelievable, isn't it? And someone like Ariana Grande or Ed Sheeran, they do tens of billions of streams. You see, but it's like supermarkets. Like Tesco say, every little bit helps. Have you got millions and millions and millions of little bits? It all adds up into one big bit. But it's debate about how it gets shared out at the end of the day.
I know.
So, but there's a lot of you just can't rely on people that are like the main people in the music business or music industry, as you say, because there's all these people out there, grassroots, and going out playing, entertaining, and they're. Let's say, there's still artists and bands from the 60s out there, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or they were touring, doing gigs when they can.
Absolutely. Ray, I'd like to, before we finish with the new album, a couple of tracks, nice names here, Come to the Party and White Dress. What's the story behind those two?
Come to the Party, yeah. Well, I started playing this thing on the piano like a 50s rock and roll thing, boogie thing, and that's on, and it's come to the party, doing like a Fats Domino sing along thing, and I was in I think it was in Melbourne. I was in Melbourne, and I went into this shopping arcade, and there was an old piano in there, and I started playing it in there. Started singing it, come to the party. That's great. I'm not a proper piano player, but I set up this group. Then that's on the album. Extreme. And what was the other one you said?
The other one was White Dress.
Yeah, so I had this idea when I was in Germany. It's good to do a wedding song. And I got this line, and the dress that she wears is a white one, and she's wearing it just for me.
Okay.
And she'll be wearing it just for me. So I got this thing, and it's a really smooth record, like this kind of rock steady reggae sort of thing.
Okay.
And I did this gig with Madness at in Minehead. They had a big thing going. They took over Butlins for the weekend.
Wow.
And I got invited. I didn't know that they were all like fans or whatever, because I did this festival in Jersey, and their managers bought more Mungo Jerry t-shirts. So they were such nice guys. So I played the song at that show, and people really liked it. I should promote it more, because it's like what a groom would be thinking like the night before the wedding. So I'm saying, don't she look so wonderful when she wakes up early in the morning? And the dress that she wears will be a white one, and she's wearing it just for me. I thought it was really cool. Yeah. I thought it was a good thing. Have a wedding song. Yeah. So
absolutely.
I chose those like 3 or 4 songs for you because they were completely different genres.
Nice.
So that you got them out there. Although the Lockdown Thank You song, I did that for the NHS stuff. That was like in the lockdown, and that's a similar thing again to the Colour of Love. But it sounds great. They're all good, like easy going. But I didn't get them to send you any of the really outrageous rock psychedelic bluesy stuff, because the way that we're talking, I don't think that's up your street. It might be.
It might be up my street, but not some of the stations I'm on.
Yeah, well, that's it. You see, I mean, you can't be like the John Peel show every time, can you?
No.
Because sometimes I used to love listening to the John Peel show and all the stuff that he did. But sometimes it got a bit too far out for anybody, even
he was
me.
Very.
But I really did. There was if it had been for like John Peel, I wouldn't have learnt stuff like Captain Beefheart and some of that odd bluesy stuff and that kind of rock thing. But it's like one thing that John Peel said that was interesting is that he didn't consider Queen to be a rock and roll band. He said they were far away from rock and roll, and I suppose he was right, really.
Yeah.
But
Ray, when can we expect to see a new album? Have you got a sort of a month you're working towards at the moment?
Yeah, it's supposed to be out, but for the end of July, middle of August, because I've been working on a friend of mine, a writer, Mick O'Hanlon, has been co-writing this book with me, and now like he's talking to people that were in the band. So the book is written in the first person and the third person. So I'm saying, I was born on the 21st of March 1946, blah blah blah, in Ashford, Middlesex, and my parents did this and blah blah. And then he makes comments as well about things that I've told him, what other people have said. So a lot of it is what I'm saying. So it's like the way that I would speak, and the other as a commentary. And then when I'm talking about, we go about how you make money in the music business, how it's lost, how recording process takes place, what was going on in the world at that time, and mention about other musicians and artists. And so the thing is, it's about 500 pages. It's an epic thing.
Sounds good.
And I'm going through it at the moment because we're editing, trying to cut a lot of stuff out and put some more interesting things. It's vaguely humorous, but it's not a sex, drugs, and rock and roll book. So I don't get into all that, like the family, my family stuff, and too much private stuff, and I don't really. I'm not going into about other things, and I'm not running anybody down as such, and I'm not. And I've been involved in bits of litigation, like through rip-offs and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I'm not gone deep into that, because I think it gets a bit boring. You can't always be complaining that someone's ripped you off, or you didn't get the money for this and you didn't get the money for that. And I've seen it so many times, and it gets a bit boring. I was reading the book, the Slash book, and then it opens up with how he's got damage from excess lifestyle. I read Paul Diani. Paul Diani was the original singer from Iron Maiden. And it's completely over the top. I've done all that. But I used to read a lot of biographies and autobiographies, like Humphrey Bogart, Frank Sinatra, and Marilyn Monroe, Sidney James. I like it. Yeah, I like all the comedy stuff. I'm a really, really big Tony Hancock fan. Hancock's half-hour stuff.
Yes.
So I'm interested in. I was always interested in what makes people think. How do creative people come up with their ideas? What motivates them? How do they get into this thing? And the psychology behind people wanting fame. And because when you've got to realise that one time when you're naive, you don't know much about anything. You think as soon as you become famous, you become rich. But a lot of people became famous and they didn't have any money.
Yep.
They didn't have anything to, and they were even like Sid Vicious. See, he was a notorious. But as far as I understand, he was broke. But who wants to end up like that? And the way that this 27 Club is glamorised by the mass media, I think it sets a lot of people off that would be rock musicians, artists, or singers, or entertainers. They think they've got to behave in this way. To get famous and get anywhere, but it's not true. They'll end up in the grave.
Sure,
who wants to end up like Amy Winehouse, or even who wants to end up in a bathtub in Paris like Jim Morrison?
Yep, absolutely. Ray, do we have a date, a month for a new album yet? Do we actually have a month for it? It's coming out.
Well, I mean, you never know how it's going to be with manufacturing and everything.
Sure.
But I would say it's got to be August.
Okay.
And I hope it is. And but you get the copies up early, I'll send you some stuff.
Please,
You
give us a shout. Absolutely.
You can have a competition. We give a load of stuff away.
That would be amazing, Ray, and we'd love to have you back on. So we do that. We'd just get either Darren to send me, or you got all my details. Just get in contact with me, and we will do something together. But,
yeah. God bless you all, and we get the stuff on. I really appreciate your interest, and
that's amazing.
All the stuff, all the waffle out. I'm talking too much.
No, but where you are, Sue wants to ask a question if she may. Go, Sue.
I've got a question for you, Ray, and I'd like to ask you something off air as well. And my question is: have you ever thought of entering the Eurovision contest as yourself or Mungo Jerry?
Oh.
No, definitely not.
Okay, thank you.
I tell you what, we did enter the song I wrote as the follow-up for Feels Like I'm in Love. Mm-hmm. Kelly Marie never got to hear it until about 20 years after. Mm-hmm. Oh, it was a long time after, because the way that the office worked, they wanted their own writers and producers to do the song. So she loved it. So we did send it in at the end of the day, but it didn't. But they never got picked. But she's recorded it now.
Oh, brilliant!
And it's great. It's a great song. It really worked. But how? I tried to watch the Eurovision Song Contest, but I found it too difficult. I found it really, really difficult, and I'm not surprised. I mean, regardless, I don't know. I don't want to run anybody down.
Sure,
no. I really don't understand how the UK entry got entered, because it didn't do anything for me.
It's like it's a closed shop behind closed doors with the BBC. They select who they want and the song. We don't even have a song for Britain anymore. Do you remember that? We don't even get that now.
Yeah. I mean, I sat on a panel once to select stuff for the Eurovision Song Contest. I mean, the thing that got picked, I didn't pick it myself. But let's face it, you think that the UK was like the leader in world pop music at one time for many years. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to stick out stuff like that, it's certainly not going to be. You shouldn't even. I mean, presentation is one thing, but you're not getting voted for presentation. Although it's obviously going to affect the judges, and it's going to affect the people at home watching. But at the end of you close your eyes, and if you've got a good song and someone's singing it in a good way. It's and they've got, but obviously you need a good personality and everything to present it.
Sure.
You think like when Bucks Fizz did their thing, or when Sandy Shaw did their stuff, or even when what was it, Sing Little Birdie?
The couple, Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yes. That's it. Thank you.
I mean, that was a different era, but even so, that was another time when England was leading the rest of the world with pop music, and they all copied it. Yeah. But now it's crazy. Really, it don't make any sense to me.
No, and you know, there's also, not only did we enter some, you know, we could have entered much better songs than we used to, but they used to be fun songs, jolly pop songs with a big change halfway through, you know, and things like that. And well, I think these days, unfortunately, unless you are somewhere around the Mediterranean or on one of the Baltic states, you're not going to win. Sorry, you know, the political voting, you know.
I think I don't really like to say that, because
I won't leave it in.
I mean, it's get a bit prejudiced and a bit political, but the thing is, I don't know if you ever noticed that all the artists that they get, when they get their little pictures showed on the TV, they all act the same. They're all acting a bit weird, aren't they? All jumping up and down and waving and blowing kisses and silly and half naked, and the guys are acting stupid, or they, you know. But people have got the wrong idea about what they've got to do to be. You know, it's this thing about want to be noticed and want to be famous or want to be seen, but they're all being the same. See, the object of if you want to be remembered, you've got to be different, but you've got to be different in such a way that people don't think that you're different and stupid different.
Sure.
You push too hard. Like, if you relax, like Bruce Lee, you say, if you're completely relaxed, you will have more control. Mm-hmm. And I've noticed that if I'm doing a show, I learned this. If you're really relaxed and you don't overdo jump, you don't have to. See, like one time I got this thing where you got to jump around like a maniac on stage, and you find that people that overdo it, overdress, overreact on stage and jump around and act really crazy. You know, Van Morrison, he just stands on stage and he opens his mouth and he sings, and a great sound comes out. You know, Roy Orbison did the same. Yeah. I mean, Elvis Presley, even though he used to move around, you could see that he did it in a very relaxed manner.
Yeah.
And but you watch a copyist like Vince Taylor, and they're trying too hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've got that.
Yeah. It's just like, if you overdo it, it means that you're really you're such a wannabe. You really push yourself, and there is this thing about being cool. You know.
Sure.
Look how cool Clint Eastwood was.
Absolutely.
He started off as Rowdy Yates, on Rawhide or whatever. He did all these movies, these spaghetti westerns, whatever. He was so cool. No one even knew his name. He didn't hardly open his mouth. And he became a hero, didn't he?
Indeed.
And that's how it goes. But anyway, I'm talking too much.
No, it's good. Right.
I keep saying I'm talking too much, but in the end I'm not, because it's topical, and people can learn from this if they take note of what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Because this happens in life. If you're working in another profession, in a factory or an office, you overdo it. My mother used to say, empty vessels make the most noise.
I can see that. Ray, I've got a very important thing to say about, we're talking about the Eurovision. Did you know, well, probably you do, but the people that slag it off should really know how it originally started. It was originally planned to reunite Europe through song after the Second World War. That's what it was all about. And when you look at it that way, it's quite a nice thing. Look what it's become, though. Yeah. Parody of itself now, I know, but I when I read that, I thought that is amazing. That's amazing.
Well, that's a good idea. It's a good sentiment, but it's like everything else. A lot of things start off nicely to mean well, like the hippie dream, the thing what I told you before about HIPPY, it can be HAPPY.
Yes.
And that, or the love, peace, and happiness is cool. But as soon as it gets people get in there and become really commercialise everything, make money out of it, and it gets spoiled. And that's probably what you're saying. The Eurovision Song Contest was really a happy thing to unite people, and then in the end it becomes a massive fight because record companies take over and everyone wants to sell the number one record. Absolutely. I mean, one of the great records, one of the great tracks, the great tunes that came out of Eurovision, which was Love Is Blue, blue, which was number 2 as a French entry. And Jeff Beck did a good instrumental version of that.
Yeah. Okay, Sue's got a question which she's written down in front of me.
Asking that off air.
Oh, okay, well, it doesn't matter because I'm going to cut it out anyway, Sue.
I'm asking.
Oh, you're going to ask it, okay.
No, that question, I'm asking it for myself.
Right, okay. Right, what it is, Ray, obviously I'm going to edit this down anyway with our personal chats on. Sue is asking, because she's, In the Summertime really is her most favourite song. She's asking, do we ask you or Darren to arrange an autograph for Sue? Or shall I just email it and we take it from there?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, you just send me the message and where you want it to be sent. And what do you want? Do you want an autograph record or do you want an autograph book? I've got a magazine. We've got some magazines left over. We've got reprinted from a German magazine. They're about 5 years old now, which is a tribute to In the Summertime, and it's got things that other artists have said about it, like the guy from Toto and various other artists. And there's a CD inside, and we've got a few left. So I could autograph one of those and send it to Sue, or we could send her as just a photo, whatever you want. You just tell me.
What do you want? Are you happy? Do you like that book CD thingy that Ray mentioned?
If that's okay with you, Ray.
That's up to Ray. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. You send me the address.
I will do, Ray.
Well, thank you so much.
And I'll make up a little package made up for you. Okay.
Very kind, Ray. I'll email you our address, and we'll get all this together, and it will just be amazing. I'm going to have a lot of fun putting this together, and it will be a whole 2-hour show, just you and us. It's going to be nice.
We haven't done a 2-hour show on one.
So there we go. You are our first 2-hour show.
Oh, right. Well, that's very nice talking to you. We've been talking for we've been talking even longer today than we did.
I know, it's brilliant. Ray, you're amazing.
Have a lovely evening. God bless.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. Thanks for taking the time.
And Ray, thank you for coming on Chatterbox UK.
Thank you very much,
Okay,
Ray.
right. Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye. Cheers, Ray.
I wasn't expecting that. Bless you.
Right, what we've got to do now is stop.
So you email him directly?